Welcome back, everyone, to another video in our series on OKRs, or Objectives and Key Results. OKRs is a fabulous system created by Andy Grove at Intel, employed by Google since its founding, and now taking the business world by storm. That being said, it's not a fad. It's a method to set goals and manage efforts that is simple, based on sound psychological principles, and gives structure to what we already know about good goal setting. That our goals need to be specific, they need to be measurable, they need to be time-bound, and that they should stretch us to increased effort. In the first two videos in this series, we discussed my interest in OKRs and how I latched onto this process. I defined OKRs and provided some simple examples. Today, we talk about what makes OKRs distinctive. Let's return to this interview in process. Again, if you've done goals before, this takes what we know about good, strong, clear, coherent goal setting, right? And things we've known before. Hey, we got to make it measurable. It's got to be more specific. Yeah, and people will say that. But the things that are, what makes this different? Difference, one, as I've already mentioned, it's transparent. So in most goal setting systems, that was really just between me and my manager or me and my employee, right? We were the ones that kind of knew what our goals were. But what you'll often hear in companies, as a side note, oh gosh, we work in silos. I hear that all the time. We've got to break down silos. So people up at the top know this, but they don't realize that the very way that they set goals encourages silos, because now I'm just responsible really for doing what only I and my manager know about, or maybe some other people on my team, but nobody outside. Whereas part of the framework of OKRs is that it is totally open, that the equivalent of the mailroom clerk can see the OKRs that the CEO has, and vice versa. When we work on, when marketing and operations have to get together and talk about the launch of a new project, what they do is they actually look at each other's OKRs and make sure that they mesh, so that I'm not just sell, when I'm doing it at the expense of your ability to produce what I sell. And so it makes for much more aligned work within the organization. It's not just top down. There's also the idea in OKRs that it's bottom up, that we want people to be thinking about what they can do. And hey, come to us and tell us, how can you drive our success as a company? So it opens up lines of communication that typically aren't open. The shorter time frame, so moving it from this year-long structure to I have set up and worked with companies before where we spent a lot of time developing executive level corporate goals, and then they were to cascade. Well, the cascading process took months for it to make its way down in the organization. The problem is, what happens if your strategy needs to shift? A new competitor enters. We've got to be more nimble. We've got to cut production of this, and we need to emphasize development of this. Right? That's how our world is changing now. The problem is that we've got this structure that had you still working down here at the lowest levels on that first thing. So what ends up happening is, now companies will make those shifts, but they're not going to spend months more going back to recreate something that they did one time. So in other words, you have these goal systems that almost nobody uses after they're created.
Yeah.
Okay, so with OKRs, we do it quarterly, right? That's how that typically now. So there's some that the book talks about And other writers will say, hey, no, let's be flexible on the time frame. But the standard way has been, we're going to do it on a quarter. What can we knock out that's important? Well, that means we're
Yeah.
always keeping our eye on the ball. That means we can shift. You know what? This is not working. Let's just jettison this. We're going to grab a new one. But we can have a short meeting. I've got a new OKR, or our team has a new OKR. And so it makes for much more nimble execution.
Is what are you most excited about with OKRs?
So, so what am I most excited about? But by the conversations they sponsor. Because if we work on a team and we have to sit down, we've got it makes us think in ways that are more strategic. It makes us understand, it helps us to understand our business in order to come up with an objective that makes sense, that's not just business as usual. You got to ask yourself, wow, how do we win? What really is standing in the way? How do we move this forward? So I think it sponsors better conversations. And then once we get onto the measurement track, it now puts us on the hook in a healthy way. So with one of the clients that I'm working with right now, their executive team, their company's fairly successful, but their executive team, there's a fair amount of friction. And it's kind of, well, I said, you said, and it becomes very much a personality-based discussion, dialogue, fight. And one of the ways we're using OKRs there is, no, I want to put this on a objective basis where, hey, we've identified what's most important. We've identified the things we got to do. Now, let's talk about that. How are we doing and what are we doing to get on the same page? So I think it also enables healthy team behaviors. And then back to the what's excited me about doing this kind of work for 20 plus years and my background in ropes courses, what I loved was when people actually started working together as a team. I enjoyed it in my own experience of being on teams like that, but being able to create that where people are giving their best and they're walking the way at the end of the day and they're high-fiving and patting themselves on the back about the great work that they've done is just an absolute gas. And I think OKRs actually set us up to do that more often. I think it's a tool, a structure that can create that kind of teamwork, team alignment, and focused execution. So that's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
It makes me excited to hear you say that because that's my intuition, but I don't have the experience to back it up. So it's good that I really value this conversation because of that. I mean, to know that you went so long without OKRs and can still see the value in them in the same way that I have an intuition, it really validates my intuition about it. That they not only could they help the organization be a better organization, but they can help us individuals work together better as a team and focus less on the things that don't matter and focus more on the things that do matter. And I mean, I guess that's why the book is called Measure What Matters, because it forces you to focus on those things that matter to the organization. But in a way, it seems like it forces you to focus on things that matter or that are more they're more objective.
Mm-hmm.
In that, we're not arguing about how I feel about this and how you feel about it. We're taking our feelings out of it and saying, well, here are the facts. Here's exactly what we want to accomplish. And I know from being in an organization where we do have we've got a lot of creative people, and so there are a lot of feelings and a lot of he said, she said, and when you don't have those objectives to focus on, it's easy to get caught up in that.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
And I'm sure you've seen.
So, thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for being willing to step into this. Thanks for interviewing and bringing those skills to bear. And I look forward to hearing what good stuff happens at public radio in Idaho, Iowa. Which I are you at?
Boise, Idaho.
Idaho, man, so pretty country. Yes, yes. So here's what you need to do. You need to hire a consultant based in Tulsa to kind of come to Boise and work with your team, right? And it needs to be kind of the height of summer, right? So we can get out into the mountains around. So awesome. Hey,
We got a lot of fun. Do you mountain bike or hike? We got a lot
I
of.
love to hike. I really do. I used to climb years ago, but not.
We got some good climbing too.
Yeah, but now it's just being up in the peaks. My honey loves the mountains, so anytime we can get away and go to someplace new, we do it. So
Well,
cool.
you can bet I'll be sharing this video with everybody on our team. So.
Thanks for tuning into today's video. I'd love to know your thoughts, particularly as it relates to OKRs. What are you learning? What makes for best practice? Then check out my other videos on OKRs if that's your interest. Hit the subscribe button to get my latest organizational development videos as soon as they are created. And until next time, be well.